You know, no one ever really prepares us for this part of the journey. They talk about retirement, slowing down, maybe spending more time in the yard. But no one tells us about the quiet shift that happens inside the woman you love. One day, you look at her across the kitchen table and something feels different. The mornings are quieter. The spark in her smile feels a little faded. She still loves you. You can feel it. But something between you has softened, and not in the good way. And maybe, just maybe, she's been waiting for you to show up again. Not with flowers, not with apologies, but with presence, with stillness, with the quiet steadiness of the man she first fell in love with. Wish I had known this 30 years ago. That comment stuck with me because I've lived it. I spent years showing up, working hard, doing everything right, but forgetting to be fully there for the woman who only ever wanted me. Not what I did, not what I earned, just me. No one tells you that while you're out there trying to be everything for the world. She's back home, slowly giving up on being seen. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about remembering how to see her again, not with your eyes, but with your heart. She doesn't want you to chase. She wants to feel safe with you again. She wants to know that when she speaks, you actually listen. That when she grows quiet, you don't rush to fix it, but you stay. And if any part of this hits home, stay with me. Because this video isn't about blame. It's about choosing to come back before it's too late. You can still make her feel loved. You can still make her feel chosen. And more than anything, you can still make her feel safe by simply being the man who sees her. Subscribe if this speaks to you. Let's walk this road together, not to chase love, but to rebuild presence. I was sitting by the old riverbank, fishing on a quiet autumn afternoon. Golden leaves floated down onto the water, the air was cool, and the steam from my coffee drifted gently into the breeze. It was one of those moments where life slows down, away from all the noise, the obligations, and the rush. Just the sound of water brushing against rocks, wind whispering through tall grass, and my own breath easing back into rhythm. A man, maybe in his mid-50s, walked over and settled down not far from me. He looked lean, wore a weathered brown coat and carried an old fishing rod. After a few moments of quiet, he turned and asked in a low voice, "Sorry, I ran out of bait. Mind sharing a bit with me?" I smiled, nodded, and handed him some. He nodded back in thanks and said, "My name's Richard." I replied, "I'm John." And just like that, we didn't need to say much more. There are some things that don't need explaining. Men just know. A little while later, he looked out across the water and asked softly, "Do you come out here often? Doesn't it feel lonely sometimes?" I turned to look at him. There was something honest in his eyes, like he was carrying something heavy but quiet. He took a long breath and said, "I don't see her looking at me the way she used to." Richard poured me a cup of coffee from the thermos he brought along. As we sipped, he started telling me about his wife, his partner of over 30 years. They still lived together, still had dinner, still took trips once a year. But that look, the look that once made him feel like a man who was seen and loved, it was gone. She liked noise, activity, being out and about. He just wanted quiet. Hugs turned into polite pats on the shoulder. Morning greetings faded. When he touched her arm, she didn't pull away, but he felt the distance in her stillness. She was there, but somehow she no longer really saw him. "I'm still here," he said, "but it feels like I've become invisible to her." I just sat there, listening, and it reminded me of a comment I once read. She used to look at me like I mattered. Now she barely speaks. And I knew many men are living that same quiet story, present, patient, and quietly aching. If you've ever felt something like that, it may not be because she stopped loving you. It might be because you stopped truly being there and didn't even notice. Not physically, but in the ways that matter. The way you look at her, the way you listen, the way you simply exist beside her, fully. I placed my hand gently on Richard's shoulder and said, "You don't need to bring back the fire of your 30s. You just need to slow down, enough for her to feel that you're still here, still attractive, still her man. Begin again, in small ways. Slow your breathing when you're beside her. Hold her hand during conversation, like when you first started dating. Gently touch her shoulder while she's cooking. Say something simple. Mind if I sit with you for a while? It's been a while since we watched something together." I told him to try, gently, because what she needs isn't a perfect man, but a man who still knows how to listen and, more importantly, knows how to be truly present. Don't try to fix her, just be there, fully, gently, and real. It wears down slowly, every skipped breakfast, every restless night, every time you whisper to yourself, "I'll deal with it tomorrow." It doesn't break in a crash. It fades, inch by inch, day by day, until one morning you don't recognize yourself anymore. I remember a man named Craig who sat beside me after a quiet talk one evening. He didn't say much at first, just sat there, silent, coffee in hand. And after a long pause, he said, "I'm not weak. I just don't have anything left to give." He wasn't sick. He wasn't bankrupt. He was simply worn out. He ate what was convenient. He slept light and woke up tired. He hadn't touched his wife in weeks, not because he didn't care, but because something inside him had gone quiet. "It's like I'm still here," he said, "but I've got nothing left. That feels like me." Another man left a comment online that echoes what so many never say out loud. "I've been single for 11 years. I'll probably finish my life alone." That's what slow erosion feels like. Not drama, not disaster, just the absence of aliveness. The slow forgetting of what it means to be vibrant, magnetic, fully present. You see, performance doesn't just fade because of age or hormones. It fades when you let certain habits take over. Sitting for hours without moving your body, eating fast, drinking more, sleeping less, going days without physical connection, not even a hand on her back, never meeting eyes long. Enough to say, "I still see you," silencing the part of you that says, "I want to feel alive again." But here's the truth. You're not past your prime. You're just overdue for a return. Maybe no one has reminded you yet. So let me be that voice. You're still here. And your body? It's still waiting for you to come back. Slowly, gently, but fully. Take the first step. Stand, stretch, breathe a little deeper when she walks by. And when you look in the mirror tonight, don't ask if you're still the same man. Just ask, am I still choosing to show up? Because every small choice, every bite, every breath, every glance is either building your fire back or letting it slip away. In my 50 years of practice, I've sat across from thousands of men, veterans returning home, burnt-out executives, single fathers trying their best, husbands who seemed perfect on paper, yet quietly breaking inside. Different walks of life. One quiet truth they all carried. So many of them eventually say the same thing. "I just don't feel like a man anymore." Some say it's because they've lost desire. Some say they no longer feel confident around their wives. Others, they don't know why. They just feel like they're fading, day by day. And every time, I tell them something most doctors don't. It's not because you're weak. It's because your blood, both physical and emotional, hasn't been flowing where it's needed. One of the most important substances in your body is nitric oxide. It helps your blood vessels open up, allowing circulation to reach the places that keep you feeling alive, especially when it comes to connection, energy, and yes, intimacy. But what's even more dangerous than lacking nitric oxide is lacking life. One of my patients once said, "I'm not tired because I'm old. I'm tired because I've been living so long without feeling anything." He worked hard. He was physically healthy. But on the inside, he was running on empty because he had been moving through life without ever feeling present in it. In one of our follow-up sessions, he left me a message. I just tried one thing you told me, walking and breathing deeply each morning. Strangely, I could feel warmth in my blood again. No medication, just a signal to his body. I want to live again. If you've been feeling like your energy is fading, start here. Feed your blood again. Dark chocolate, watermelon, leafy. Greens, natural omega-3s. Warm water before bed instead of beer or coffee. Reactivate your core, the center of your masculinity. Kegel exercises daily. Walk 30 minutes. Breathe deeply 10 times before sleep. Let your emotions flow again. Look into your wife's eyes for more than 3 seconds each day. Touch her gently, not with pressure, but with presence. I've lived long enough to know this. No one took your strength away from you. You just forgot where you left it. In a life that's moved too fast for too long, with no one to gently call you back. You don't need to be stronger. You need your blood to flow in the right direction. And your heart to remember you're still alive. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when a man named Thomas, 62, came to see me. He looked tired, not in his body, but in his eyes. He had that subtle look many men over 55 carry, a mix of confidence, weariness, and unspoken longing. We sat for a moment before he said, "I'm not trying to impress anyone anymore, but I still want to feel like I matter, especially to her." I nodded. Because I've heard this before, from men who've lived full lives, given everything, but still wonder, what makes a man attractive when the world stops looking? Here's the truth I've seen across decades. After 55, your attractiveness no longer lives in your appearance. It lives in your perception, not in how the world sees you, but in how you see the world, and how fully you allow yourself to see her, you. See, younger women respond to confidence, but women with experience, they're drawn to a man who notices the unspoken, the way she exhales after a long day, the shift in her tone when she's hiding something, the pause before she says she's fine. Attraction now lives in the man, who observes gently, who doesn't interrupt, who notices and holds space without needing to fix. I told Thomas, you want her to feel something again? Stop selling yourself, start seeing her. So how does a man do that? Wake early. Not to hustle, but to arrive in his own day. Sit quietly. Set your tone before the world sets it for you. When you speak, lower your voice. Not to be soft, but to invite closeness. Let her lean in instead of feeling pushed back. Walk like your steps have meaning. Not rushed, not aimless. Just steady. And most of all, when you look at her, look like you still care about what's behind her eyes, not what she gives you, but who she is when no one's watching. One man wrote in a comment, "I'm too old to prove anything. I just want to be chosen, not convinced." He's right. After a certain age, the game changes. You don't win by chasing. You're remembered by how you made her feel when she didn't have to perform. That is presence, not as a strategy, but as a way of being. The most attractive man after 55, he doesn't lead with force or flirtation. He leads with attention. And in a world starving for it, that kind of man is unforgettable. She doesn't need you to be perfect by someone else's definition. She needs you to be steady in your own. I once sat with a man named Adam. He was kind, had a steady job, and took good care of his family. But after years together, his wife had grown silent. No more arguing, no more pushing back. She simply pulled inward. Adam thought that to win her back, he had to do more, say better things, prove himself. But the harder he tried, the more distant she became. After a long session, I told him just one thing. She doesn't need you to become the perfect man society expects. She needs you to be present, real, centered, and calm enough not to walk away when she closes her door. Another man once wrote in the comments, "After 9 years, she ghosted me. But this advice gave me peace. I don't know his exact story. But I know the ache, and I know this. Some women will never tell you what they need. They'll simply watch to see if you can stay steady in the storm. Here's a truth many men overlook. Modern women, especially in America, are not easy to satisfy. They're independent. They know what they want. And they've seen too many men trying to impress, but failing to truly connect. So if you want to start again with your wife, an ex, or someone new, don't try to fix. Don't try to charm. Do something harder. Become grounded and real. Here's how to begin again without losing yourself. 1. Listen without defense. When she shares, don't react. Just say, "I hear you," and let the silence do its work. 2. Sit beside her and without reaching for her. Be there. On the couch. No touch. No attempt to fix the mood. Just presence like a mountain, steady and calm. 3. Touch. Only when the moment is honest. Don't rush it. Don't expect anything. Wait until her gaze softens. Then gently hold her hand, not to get something, but to simply be with her. 4. Speak less, but mean it. I'm not here to prove anything. I just want to understand you, if you'll let me. Starting over doesn't mean begging or backing down. It means you've grown. You no longer need to be accepted, because you've already chosen your own worth. She will open up again when you stop chasing a role and start returning to the man you truly are. What about you? Do you think modern women are seeking a different kind of perfect? A man who doesn't need to perform, but can't be shaken. A man who doesn't talk too much, but always shows up when it matters most. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might be the very thing another man needs to find his footing again. If only I had known this sooner, maybe I wouldn't have lost her. Not because she stopped loving me, but because I stayed quiet for far too long. I've listened to hundreds of men in my life. Strong men, good men. But do you know the words that break the most? Not "I'm sorry," not "I can't," just two simple ones. If only. Wish I had heard this 30 years ago, but I guess better late than never. Someone left that comment once, and it hit me harder than I expected. Because I've been that man, the one who sat beside a woman he loved and watched her grow, distant, watched her turn away at night, watched her laugh a little less and speak a little softer, until the silence was all that was left between us. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know how to be there. Not really, because no one ever taught me how to love her in the quiet places.